We're live.
Welcome, y'all, to Vancity Beats, Eats, and more. Was that enough of a body roll? We planned this. We were talking about more of a body. One more time. Okay. Vancity Beats, Eats, and more.
Hey.
Yo, my name is Kazi. This is Marc Generoso.
Hello.
This is Season 3, Episode 1 of this show. If you were just tuning in and watching for the first time, in this show we cover the music, food, and art scene of Vancity, and we talk to the people who create this amazing tapestry of creativity. And yeah, sometimes we cook, sometimes we chat, and today on the show, especially because we are with my dear old good friend Marc Generoso, who has been a major part of creating the Vancity dance scene from time, also a fellow Filipino, that I wanted to make Filipino breakfast.
Yeah.
Which includes Spam, garlic fried rice, which we made a little bit earlier, hey-yo, and eggs. This is classic. It's called Carbs and Protein.
It's also called Spam Silog.
Okay, that is true. And I'm nearby a vegan supply store, and I found for the first time vegan luncheon meat. Looks like Spam, tastes like Spam, is not mystery meat. So, and we also decided we would make as well real Spam, just in case this didn't work out or we were just not satisfied. You know, gotta keep it real, gotta keep it Filipino. Do you have memories of like making breakfast this with your mom? Or your family members?
Making it for myself, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't usually cook with my parents or family, but definitely for myself, Spam Silog, Long Silog, always with rice, always with egg, and then the ulam or the meat of the week. So yeah, this is exciting, and it's gonna bring back some childhood memories.
Oh yeah. For me, it was be my job. Like it would be like first level was like cracking the egg and learning how to scramble, which is what we're gonna do. And then when I graduated that level, it would be about like learning to like open the can, which this can is different now. They just like you pop it open, but there was like a key situation.
Totally, yeah.
And this thing would split in half. Then you wouldn't want to cut yourself. That's probably why they changed it. And then I'd have to cut the slices and then pre-egg it for my mom.
Oh.
Yeah, so this is what I'm going to get you to do. You're going to figure out popping that out of the can. I'm going to get going with the eggs, scrambling it up. Yeah, and just don't cut yourself is the thing. But yeah, it was like, you know, major childhood memories of doing this and then once it comes out, or like bacon would also be on deck. It would be like you mix it all together, put ketchup on top, and that's your healthy breakfast. Healthy, you know what I'm saying?
Do you want me to slice this up?
Yes, please. Yeah, and just maybe like third. Let's see. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. Amazing. So while we're doing this, we're gonna be chatting with Marc. You know, he's one of my favorite Virgos in my life. What do I mean?
Virgos, what's up?
Yeah. What I mean by that, pragmatic, organized, extremely detailed.
Yes.
When I was requesting for Homeboy's bio, he was just like, how many words should it be? And then you went ahead and just basically wrote the description of the episode. Like, Marc, we'll talk about this, this, and this. I was like, oh, okay. This is what we want to talk about, Marc? I'll take your lead on that. But
such a Virgo.
You know, on this show, we love to talk to people about their creative journeys, how they got started. And I guess my first question for you is like, you know, in order for us to understand who is in front of us today, like what do we need to know about who you were as a kid, especially you today as a super creative?
Getting out the gates right away. What do you know as a kid?
We just go in.
You know, I don't think I had much of a choice in terms of being creative to start, but I organically fell in love with it. I was part of a family band from the ages of 7 to 14.
Oh my God.
Did
you play instrument or you sing or what?
I was the designated piano player, keyboard player, and I had to do the male vocals.
Ooh.
So we would do Fuji's Killing Me Softly, and I'd be the guy being like, one time.
Oh my gosh. And who else was in the band?
So my little brother, he was the drums, and then I have two stepsisters, both older than I am. one was bass and one was vocals, and together we were the Generoso band.
Oh, cute.
And we had matching danier leather, and we'd go to Filipino halls and perform for artitas and titos, and yeah, that was our thing growing up. I didn't really get to play outside. It was a lot of practicing, but it definitely helped with my dance. Yeah.
And this would have been like how old?
Started at the age of 7,
Yeah.
and then by age 14, I was definitely over it.
This band went on for 7 years?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Yeah, I mean, what do you mean? It was my,
Yeah.
I think it was my dad's dream to be a musician.
Yeah, yeah.
And he just saw the potential in me and my family and said, you know, they're going to be the stars. But it wasn't our choice. And
Okay.
that was the
This
thing.
is like Jackson 5.
It was totally Jackson 5. So, yeah, I mean, we didn't get to play outside after school. It was go straight downstairs in the basement and practice. And so I was pretty sheltered. So I was pretty sheltered until dance came along.
Okay, which is like, did that happen during that time? Is this also like a Michael Jackson-esque story where your dancing abilities were also being used on stage for this family performance?
I do remember my very, very first dance at the age of 12. My older brother, he choreographed to Montel Jordan, This Is How We Do It.
Oh, yes.
But for the most part, it helped me with my musicality and dancing to the beat and my Filipino genes.
Okay.
Yeah. But I would say that dance would be the escape, to finally evolve from that chapter of my life. Just because when we were in the band, especially in the later years, we didn't have that choice and that freedom. And so we were trying to get out, but out of respect for our dad and his wishes, kept doing it. And on the other side, my mom had put us in a performing arts program. And that's where I met my very first dance teachers, Jarek Hizon and Eric Malapad.
Yes.
Shout out to those guys.
Just saw them yesterday.
Yeah.
Jarek, at
Yeah.
least. Yeah, yeah.
And when we finally moved on from the family band aspect of it, dance was there, and it was basically my first choice. And in a way, dancing chose me as well. Yeah.
Would you say that you were already like a natural performer when you were starting in the band?
Totally. Really good at mimicking different styles and just visually learning. And the technique and the history and the knowledge came as it went along. So I had that nugget going for me that I could just excel at the performance part. And then it was catching up with the history and the community and the culture. So I definitely felt late in the game starting dance. But yeah, for the most part, I was, with the exception of those early summer programs with Jarek and Eric, I was pretty much self-taught until I met Stu and JoJo.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so if you were to describe yourself in 3 words from you as a kid then, as a super creative, what words would you choose?
As a creative,
Yeah.
I would say I'm quiet, but I am driven. So driven to get the piano parts down and wanted to get it fast. And what would be the third one? I would say just natural. Felt like a natural. Yeah.
I love this. Sidebar, can you touch that and tell me if this is still frozen?
Nope, we're good to
Okay.
go on that.
Yeah. This is such an interesting texture of the vegan Spam. So I tried it the other day with air frying. It worked air frying it, but this is the first time I'm going to try it with where we do the egg dip.
Is this the part where we do the flakes as well?
You know, yes. Let's try a few with those. I've never done that before, where we'll do the egg and then dip in that, like
Let's
kind of
experiment.
like a breading, you know. And then we'll do a mix because we also have Sean. Shout outs to Sean Kim on camera helping us out today. Yeah, we've got multiple people who we got to feed.
Yep.
Yeah.
Down.
So if you want to bring over that Spam for me, that would be amazing. Gonna get a little bit of oil situation going. So okay, Jarek, Eric, and then how did the formation of, essentially you stepping fully into dance come about?
Yeah, well, during those performing arts programs, I was just that really focused student, front of the class, teach me something, I'm going to get it as fast, and I'll be like, what's next, sensei? But then, there wasn't social media at the time, and I was quite young, so once they moved on from those programs, I was basically on my own, and mimicking dance videos, Michael Jackson, Smooth Criminal, Aaliyah, Are You That Somebody?
Oh my gosh, the baby crying. Such a classic.
Yeah, those videos that have the dance breakdowns, I would be the ones learning them and performing them in high school dances. And then I evolved into becoming the designated debut and cotillion choreographer around the city.
Okay, tell the people who don't know anything about debuts or cotillions, because it's so funny we're talking about that, because it's actually phasing out with the new gen.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, who's doing... The vegan spam falling apart! Stay together, egg. But anyway, please, yes, first off, explain what a debut is.
And a debut is a big part of Filipino culture when you are... when you turn 18, you have a big celebration at a hall or a gym, and there's lots of people, and there's lots of food, lots of performances, and it's basically a big wedding style, I guess, just for the if that's what you want. You don't not everyone wants that.
Yeah, there's a whole roasted pig situation. There's a buffet table usually. Friends, family, people from church, like the whole village comes out. I had a debut.
Oh,
yes,
please tell us more.
My motifs were red and gold. I had a red gown, I had a gold gown. So the cotillion, explain the cotillion part.
The cotillion is the dance portion, and it would usually start with something traditional, folk,
or a ballroom dance.
And then but then being 18 years old, you want to do something cool, so that the remix would go into something hip hop.
A hip hop cotillion.
Yeah. So I was actually choreographing all the ballroom and the folk stuff as well through research and mimicking, and then the hip hop part would be my time to shine.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You know what's hilarious? So we did the Viennese waltz. We had 18 dancers, so 9 couples.
Yeah.
All the dudes wore the red ties. All the ladies got red dresses made from like a Lola, who was a seamstress.
Oh, wow.
And then my tita, who taught us for 3 months the Viennese waltz, shout outs to tita. But she was so tradish. She was like, you are not having a hip-hop cotillion. That is not traditional. And I was like, what? I was so mad. I was fighting with her on it. In the end, we didn't do it. But my hip-hop crew just performed anyway. But still, it's like, it was my birthday. Come on. Rude.
Oh, that's so sad.
Do you have like a particular cotillion that... That's so sad. Do you have a particular cotillion that was super memorable for you that you got to choreograph or... Oh, yeah, that's... See what I'm saying right there? That's... Just hope that it cooks in the inside, you know?
Lovely.
Yes.
Thinking about it, I think one performance I choreographed a dance with tinikling, so those bamboo sticks.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
But then we turned that into a hip-hop remix, so I was kind of breaking in and around the bamboo sticks. So I think that was pretty memorable.
What is the tinikling?
It is it's supposed to resemble a bird in a cage, like a bird dance. And you have 2 people, 2 bamboo sticks lined up like this, and they're on their knees, and they're going boom, 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 and then somebody in the middle would be...
Hey!
Yeah.
And you're hopping up so your toes don't get...
Clipped.
Exactly.
But I would do the hip-hop version of that and like dive roll through, and
What?
I was just super nimble and
I want to see footage
full
of
of
that.
life. Yeah, VHS style.
Amazing.
And that's kind of where also the very first time I met Stu. Because in being that guy that was like, you got to go to Marc, you got to go to Marc. I'm going to all these cotillions and choreographing for different people. And then when it came down to the party and all the festivities are done and dancing, I just see somebody just absolutely killing it on the dance floor. And I'm going, I'm one part awe and the other part super jealous, because this is, in my circles, I don't have a lot of dancers as friends. So I saw him and I was like, whoa, this guy's on another level. And I did not realize at the time that he would be my mentor in dance. So
how did that relationship evolve then?
From that cotillion, I think I would see him at the clubs, and I would be too shy to even come up to him. But when I was dancing and doing my thing, he would be super, super supportive. And when I would be doing the club thing, so I evolved from high school dances to debuts and cotillions to club dances, and it wasn't a great start, to say the least. I would be performing, and there would be about 10 people in the audience, including the staff, but Stu would be one of them. And
but who's the audience? Like, where would this be?
clubs, Purple
Okay.
Onion, Atlantis, if you know those
Oh
clubs.
my God.
Yeah.
Okay, so just to date you, what year was this? What is the era?
This would probably be around 2002, 2003.
Okay, the early 2000s, the
Yeah.
early millennium,
Yeah.
when technology didn't blow up. In fact, we were all fine.
Yeah. And it was really just about the live performance aspect of it. We weren't talking about audience engagement or followers or metrics. We were just focused on putting on a really good show and really banking on that word of mouth and that experience for the audience.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And so then, yeah, thank you. Spot me here. You're part of a crew. You helped also co-create a crew. And did this soon after emerge?
Yes, so out of that, I founded a crew called Flow Ethics, and that ran from 2004 to 2006. There was about 17, 18 members at the time, and that's where we got to perform in Seattle and really put ourselves on the map with another show that's dating myself called For the Love of It. This was organized by Carla Catherwood. And it was an opportunity for industry professionals and street crews to perform together in the same stage. And it's very similar to Main Event, if you're aware of that.
Yeah.
So
Main
it's
Event has grown to become something so
totally,
big now.
Ken is killing it.
Yes.
Yes. But yeah, where was I? I think from performing with Flow Ethics and having to perform it for the love of it, Stu, he basically said, I'm down to be part of your pieces. I'm down to guest perform, and that really gave me the confidence to, go full force, because whatever I'm doing is working. And so I just leaned into it more, and I really focused on the thematic elements of dance. I think I fell in love with story, themes, and concepts. And so every time I was tasked to come up with a dance, it had to be something of some sort of theme or some sort of big finale.
Yo, when I have done, so we've done an interview, if you look into our archives, with Jojo Zolina, who is also part of OTI.
Also another mentor of mine.
Yes. When I went digging into the archives of OTI footage, it's like all these different, concepts and themes, super theatrical, really fun. Like, it was such an era for that. And I feel like so many people were inspired by what you guys had done and spearheaded.
Yeah, I mean, the story goes, if we're getting into OTI,
Yes, let's get into
Stu
OTI.
had vouched for me to be part of this group.
Okay.
And all of the guys made a vote and said I wasn't ready.
Really?
And it broke my heart, but
Yo, sometimes.
it's all
Yeah,
good. I kept
yeah.
doing my thing. I mean,
Yeah.
why cry over spilled milk, right?
Yes.
So I was doing my thing, but while I was performing with other groups, for one reason or another, injuries, other priorities, the members of OTI just started taking hiatus from the group until it was just Jojo and Stu. And then Stu was like, why not Mark? So I vividly remember Jojo, Stu, and I at the Tim Hortons on Hornby and Nelson, and just chopping it up and saying, if we were to dance together, what would we do? What would that look like? And I came up with the skeleton of Pinocchio. So the theme was like puppets and drawstrings.
Is that the show that Severin's in? Like young Severin?
Oh, that was Austin Powers.
Oh.
We also did an Austin Powers dance.
And he was the little Doctor...
There's Dr. Evil and Mini-Me, was it?
Mini-Me. He was Mini-Me?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. But continue.
So as you could tell, it's always the theme, and we performed it for the love of it, and it made such an impact on that show that we were just excited and jazzed to work together again. And that led to what I feel was OTI's calling card, which was a theme called 4 Elements. And that was 4 of us. Jojo was air because his house was light and flowy. Stu was earth because his breaking was grounded. I was fire because I was really into crumping at the time, and so my style was very spontaneous and erratic.
Yeah.
And then we would always like to call on a 4th guest, and at that time, a popper and waver by the name of Denny Kang. He was really dope and just really suited the role for Water. And so that was something that we really worked on, and even in terms of audio engineering and getting voiceovers. And it was a 7-minute dance.
Wow.
4 people, giant stages, and it was just the 4 of us carrying that stage, and we got to perform in San Francisco and all over Western Canada. And I think that's when we knew that we had something here. And for me, the peak era of OTI was around that time, 2006, 2009.
Wow.
Yeah.
Can you describe for us, like, what I think is so dope? This is the 70th interview, by the way. And we're really building an archive of, yes, the Vancouver creative scene, but also, like, I've been going in on the dance community, which I'm also part of, and, like, building this archive of history and storytelling and, like, each dancer's personal contribution. And so, can you describe for us, especially current gen, younger gen, like, what was that time like, the dance community in Vancouver? How would you describe it from your own perspective and your experience?
For me, it was a very magical era. It was the pre-social media era boom.
Yes.
So there was...
Which means what? Like, how were we connecting and communicating back then? How were we finding out about events?
By going out there, through flyers, through word of mouth, through physical flyers, hanging out at Robson Square. I think Facebook was around, but it wasn't used like today, and YouTube was in its very essence. So that era, there was not a lot of cruise. MySpace. I don't think I was promoting on MySpace.
Yeah. Asian Avenue, maybe?
No, I was just using that for girls, but...
Classic. Yeah.
Illa_skills with a Z.
Oh my gosh. I don't remember my Asian Avenue. I had apartment 107 though.
Yeah, me too.
I was ooh la la, U_L_A_A_L_A, all caps. But yeah, okay. So and like battles, like what was the?
You know what? There was.
Scene yet?
I think there wasn't. If I can remember, there wasn't a lot of crews back then. Top of my mind, Fresh Groove.
Yeah.
It's first and second generation. NON was just starting.
Really?
It's 20. Yeah.
It's now.
It's 22,
yesterday was
right?
their 22-year anniversary.
Yeah.
Shout outs, NON, now or never.
So that's around 22 years ago.
Yeah.
Groovy Gentleman,
Oh yes.
Stone Fox,
Yes.
and OTI.
Over the Influence.
And I don't think there was other... There were some groups on the periphery, but those were really just the main players in the city performing. So we were crossing paths a lot and doing collaborations, do a lot of collaborations with NON. the aforementioned Austin Powers was a collaboration with Stone Fox.
Oh yeah. Who was in Stone Fox?
Stone Fox, led by Jen Alexic,
Hey.
featured Natasha Gori.
Yep. Previous guest on Van Beam.
Yes, Michael Maiucci, Catherine Schellenberg, Shauna Smith.
Dang, this man knows last names too.
Megan Trainor, and then it had other kind of guest dancers, but those were kind of the main players. I hope I didn't miss anybody.
It's okay. That's pretty good for like 20 years ago, dude.
Yeah, it was a magical time, like I said, and I just really liked that era where we didn't have to focus on social media. We could just focus on the craft, and your gauge was word of mouth and how many people would be coming to the next show because of what you did on the last show.
When you say you didn't have to focus on social media, like what do you mean by that in comparison to now? Like in what way are we focusing on social media as it relates to like dance?
Social media really it became integral to today's dance, where you're using the platform to show videos, and by showing videos you don't have to go to live performance as much, so I don't think there's a lot of live performances going on in terms of investing in others in the sense of interacting with them on social media. So while you're on social media, you're not really dancing, so you're not really focused on your craft. And so I was in that era where I didn't really warm up to it right away, and I just wanted to there was just so much to focus on in terms of training and going to events and performing that I didn't get on it until later. I mean, I'm still slowly getting into it now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is fine. It's like you're not missing out, bruv. You know what I mean? And it's true. Like it's quite the upkeep to try and stay relevant on there, you know?
Especially when you started with I fell in love with the dance part. I didn't fall in love with the marketing side of things. And I wanted to I guess outperform marketing and saying I want to be so good that it was more about catching this mystique of Over the Influence and watching them versus getting inundated by promo material. But that was just my mindset back then.
So you use those three words, quiet, natural, and what was the third one?
Focus.
And focus as a kid.
Yeah.
What three words during that era of you describing, golden era of OTI, Stone Fox, Fresh Groove, Groovy G's?
Yes.
Like, what three words would you use to describe yourself then?
Organized. I was the engine that kind of kept the group going. I was definitely, can I say outside the box, dash.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
That could be one word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Organized, outside the box, and just wide-eyed, just excited about the scene. It was my introduction to these industry professionals that I would go to Harbor and watch through the window and be nervous to take their class, and them commanding 20, 30 students at a time, and getting to perform with them was just coming from not doing that. I didn't appreciate it at the time, but definitely talking about it now, just to have that opportunity to be in that echelon with these guys, it's meant a lot. And I definitely heard it coming up. It's like people will come up to me like, you must be a good dancer. I'm like, how would you know? It's like, if these guys are rolling with you, you must be good. You
got the official cosign.
I got the cosign.
What would you say was really challenging back then, either for you personally or for like the community, the dance community at the time?
Challenging.
It's so easy for us to like talk about things in this like glorified, like, oh, that was a golden era. But every golden era also, like, it emerged because there were things that were also happening, or a setback or a challenge. Could be societally, socially, blah, 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 whatever. You know, like, if there's anything that you can remember.
The only challenges that we're really facing was just the time crunch and bringing people together. But I would say just more of a direction. It was the wild, wild west, you know. Everyone had their own identities. We weren't following groups that we saw on YouTube in LA. We were doing our own thing and just having a direction and a goal. I mean, I would have loved to take that OTI era much further, but we were also just being grateful in that moment. And why work harder? Look at us, we're killing it. And me, like, having this complex of like, we could do more. And I was so inspired by the Jabberwockies and watching them on their come up, and I felt like we could have been something in that direction of just going and doing bigger performances. But I think also just respecting everyone's process and energy, and they got to where they are because of the balance that they have with life and family, and not everyone wanted to just make that their full-time thing.
What would you say was like your greatest ambition at that time when it came to dance?
I wanted to be like a dance director, for sure. Not just on stage, but also on camera. I think I was doing all of these dances and these themes and putting so much of my passion and heart into it, and then the live performance would happen, and then poof, that's it, on to the next thing. So I wanted to immortalize all of that hard work, and I think that's how it segued into the film industry, of wanting to immortalize all of this hard work and focus on something that the audience can really attach themselves to in terms of characters and plot and all that stuff. So there was a lot of crews that were performing the techniques and
Oh my God, can you tell which one's real and which one's fake?
no, maybe no.
Good thing we're not particularly vegan.
Yeah.
Okay.
Look at all.
Quick sidebar. Do you want like a fried egg to go on top to
Yes.
make the actual silog?
Yes.
Which
yes.
is what silog means, right? It's like with the egg.
So
Let's just finish that egg.
Filipino terminology. Spam silog. Spam is what we're having. Si is short for sinigang, and then log is short for itlog. So it would be spam, fried rice, egg, and you can interchange that with whatever protein you're having. So you can do long silog, longganisa, fried rice and egg, or hot dog silog, whatever silog. It could be anything, right? So yeah.
Oh yeah. Do you want to crack the next one for me, porfi? Nicely done. So, okay, you touched upon film.
Yeah.
And prior to this, so I didn't know Marc during this era of what he's talking about, but I knew of these crews because I was in high school during that time.
Oh, wow.
Witnessing these crews. You know, at that time for me, especially being in high school, how I experienced dance was going to high school dance competitions. They would happen at like Notre Dame, Holy Cross.
Yes.
In Richmond, I forget where, whatever. And then I would see you guys do performances there as well, or you'd be judging. You guys would be the judges or adjudicators for these things. And then you and I met later in life. We
Yes.
met after I had moved to Toronto. I was in my university era. And at that point in time, you were primarily teaching. And
Yes.
teaching on Vancouver Island in Nanaimo, and was super involved with the community there. Can you
Yes.
tell us a bit about that era of your life?
Yes. So at around 2009, I had left OTI, and I was feeling a little lost. Like a big part of my identity with the dance scene was with these guys, and I had teaching. I was already teaching it. At one point, I was teaching at 5 studios in 1 week, just different cities: Langley, Surrey, Richmond, Vancouver. And one of the studios that had watched us, that we toured, was a studio called Vibe in Nanaimo.
Oh yeah.
And we made an impression, and I made a connection with Sarah Stewart, and we thought it'd be a good idea for me to come and teach dance there. So I would take a ferry every week, an hour and 40 minutes each way, and it was a lot. You know, it was very time consuming. And with these kids, in trying to inspire them, I said, if you are going to give it your all for me, I'm going to give it my all for you. And they really took that to heart. And they would be practicing on their own and coming early to practice. And it made those ferry rides way easier. It really did feel like I was magically transporting to a magical island.
Yeah.
Right? Because
it's beautiful over there.
Because it wasn't just the kids; it was the parents too. They wanted to be involved. I had this crazy vision, and the parents asked, "What do you need, Mark? Do you need props, whatever?" And they were down to help, and making connections with the entire family.
And the crazy vision was?
Well, the crazy vision was converting their live performances and readapting them into short dance films.
Called the DVC
Yes.
project.
Yes.
Which stood for?
Dance Video Collection.
Ayo.
Actually, that started as a farewell goodbye. Because I think I was going, I'm going to do the audition route. I'm going to go to LA. I'm going to audition for Michael Jackson's Cirque and Jabberwockies and all that stuff. So as a big farewell, I decided I'm going to film them, to immortalize them and feature them and make them stars of their own dance. Well, that whole process was so rewarding. Got a standing ovation that I was like, I took these dance films, 10 of them, and I used them to apply for film school, and I got in. And it gave me a 4-year extension where I would learn professional film practices while teaching the kids and turning their dances into films for another 4 years until I would ultimately get my bachelor's in motion picture arts.
They were so cool. I remember getting invited to come to Nanaimo for the big screening.
Yeah.
And that was so special. It was like in the theater, the big theater in Nanaimo, all the kids, all the parents. There was a live performance as well, but it was like the screening of the films that were made. And like, I was so impressed. They were just high quality. You could tell that the kids and the families were so into it. And it was just like, it was really special to witness that and to see how you made such a mark on these young people. And what's even crazier to me is the fact that like some of these young dancers are actually who make up some of the best dancers coming out of our West Coast region right now.
Yes.
Like just yesterday alone, I saw Jackson.
Yeah.
Who, like, I remember he had like a big role in one of the
Jackson and the whole
right?
family, they were the stars.
Was
like
that the house? And they had younger sister, and we stayed
Cypress,
at the house.
Yeah, yeah.
And they have the grandpa. Was that the house?
No, that's the
Somebody
Chalmers.
else's
Yeah,
place.
yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
okay. But I saw Jackson yesterday because he battled at the NON anniversary with Hamuza.
Yeah.
And I was like, yo, I remember you, dude. I'm like yeah, I remember you. And I'm a friend of Marc Generoso. I was just like, oh, yeah. And then, and Anwar. That was the first time I saw him, was also dancing in one of your projects.
Yeah, so I got to teach these two at a very young age when they were just a blank slate. And it was really up to me, as well as Eric and Carlo, just the three of us saying like, we are contributing to their dance journey and what do we want to contribute. And somebody like Eric was the guy really instilling the heart of it. Was like, is this what you want to do? And be very sensei about it. And Carlo was amazing with the full live performance aspect of formations and just having the lightheartedness in class. And I was the passion guy in terms of, if we're going to do this, we have to do this together. And it wasn't just following my vision. This vision is separate from me. We're following this together. And so being able to see them now, from when they were just learning, when they were just 10 years old. I think Jackson was 8 years old when I taught him. Is really amazing. And just for them to still stay in touch and want to hang out and talk, it means a lot, So, yeah.
Shout outs to you, for
Yeah.
real. And to every teacher who's like willing to invest in the next generation, because like you just never know who they're going to end up being. If maybe dance was just like a moment in time for them and that's their exercise, their extracurricular activity, or if it becomes like such a huge part of their lives, which I'm seeing, like it's quite amazing. And to see them now also being taught by your friends, like, and more becoming a student of Natasha Gori.
Yes.
On the come
Yes.
up. Food ready, shall we?
Ooh.
Wow. Just
Wow.
like wipe down this table a little bit, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, so, okay, wait. Which one is the vegan?
You can't tell.
I know.
Especially with you when you have the egg.
I gave you one of each.
Yeah.
Are you a spoon and fork kind of guy?
Yeah, we gotta do it Filipino style. I mean,
Filipino
true Filipino style is just eating with your hands,
Yeah.
but we're not gonna do
This is ketchup. This is some sort of sriracha mayo. This is more turmeric that we don't need, but hold on. I think, yeah, this one is the vegan one.
How can you tell? It's a little lighter.
Because we're just going to say intuition, maybe?
Yeah. Okay.
But I gave you one of each, so
Oh, man.
yeah.
I'll take a photo
Do you
of
do the thing where you like...
No.
No?
It's about portion. So I cut it, get the ulam, get a little bit of egg,
Yeah.
and make sure I have all three components going on.
Okay, fine. I'm going to take a page out of your book, but,
What's your style?
Well, as a kid, I would go and then mix it all up.
Just one
with,
jambalaya.
with ketchup,
Oh.
But like now
Me too.
No, because I don't think that's me anymore. You know what I mean? Like, but what we are gonna do is we're gonna crack this open for the
Ooh.
camera. One of those. Oh, okay.
Look at that.
Look at that. Just yeah. But this is amazing. I haven't had a Filipino breakfast probably in years because I haven't eaten Spam in years until this thing showed up. And I posted it on IG being like, yo, should I cook this on the show for the next episode? Sorry, I just did that, but.
I do ketchup after I have it raw. Here, cheers. Cheers.
You're like, I'm not going to let you touch it. Wow.
I'm singing the national anthem in my head.
Which is what? Sing it.
I can only sing the little bit part of Bayang Magiliw, Punas na tinangala, Arab. I don't know.
Oh my gosh, that brings me back to memories of like waking up in the Philippines to the sound of that being blasted from the speakers from the nearby elementary school. Followed shortly after with a faint sound of a man going, Taho! Taho!
At the same time?
Like
Come
just
on.
shortly after.
Okay.
Like he was respectful. He let the national anthem play out. Then he called Taho, which means tell the peoples.
Oh man, what is tao? It's like tapioca, tofu. What like?
Oh my gosh.
With syrup.
It's a tofu dessert.
It's a tofu dessert.
tofu.
So picture a man. He's got a giant bar, a wooden bar, and he's got two metal buckets on each side. And the bucket's like this big, and it's full of tofu and syrup. And so he would just yell, Taho, Taho. What my favorite. It was like 2, 3 pesos, 5 pesos at the time.
And you come running with your mug because you have to bring your own mug, and then he fills it. He puts the tapioca, he puts the dessert tofu, he puts the caramel kind of sauce. And that's your breakfast. Sugar.
Yeah.
Sugar and soy. What's up?
Yeah. I love that. I was so that's how I learned the Philippine language. So I lived in the Philippines like before the family band stuff for 2 years.
Oh, what? No, I did not know this part about you.
No. Yeah, me and my brother, we moved to the Philippines in I think it was '89, and couldn't speak the language, and it was through these classes they gave me a month, like it was like a month, and I'm doing the national anthem. I don't know what I'm saying, but I'm again mimicking,
Yes.
right? Until it started to click, and being the dramatic person that I am, I dropped all of my Tagalog in one go and just made a big impression on everyone. Like, whoa, you could speak the whole time, and just kind of learning it. So
Amazing.
so yeah, that singing the national anthem brings back those type of memories, you know. Yeah.
Can we tap back into the? Oh my gosh, guys, we never even did the garlic situation.
Oh.
It would have been too much garlic. Our digestion would have been nuts. We're not gonna go there. But like maybe you can give us a time check, Sean, because I feel like we're kind of close to an hour. Oh, okay, nice. I want to talk about film. Like so.
Yes.
So from here, and then you graduated school, you know, and now you have film. How did that happen, and how did that feel for you, making that transition?
With film, I wasn't sure. I mean, I knew that for my dance life had a ceiling, and I started to think about what elements I really loved about dance and trying to carry that over.
And do you mean ceiling because of your physical self? Or?
I think physically just wanting to teach and that grind of going to dance studios. And honestly, even though having so much autonomy as a teacher was great, I felt like I still had a lot to learn. So I was in student mode. And so I thought with these dance films that I could take that story element and go back to dance, but go to the film industry and learn those professional film practices. Because the film industry is very expensive, it's very big, it takes up a lot of space, and you don't need all that. So, you know, my mission was to learn everything that there was in film, the full production, pre-production, development, post-production, and distribution, and all that stuff, and see and trimming all the fat to make it affordable and accessible for dance studios and dance organizations. Yeah.
And did you feel like there were other parts of you creatively that you could express through that medium versus dance? Like, what did you discover about yourself in that, I guess, new exploration?
Well, as an assistant director, there's a lot. You are directing, but you're not directing the main actors, but you're directing all of the background. So if you watch any of your favorite shows and there's a lot of people in the background and they're moving, I would be that guy directing all of those people, sometimes 40, 50 people within a 5-10 minute span. It's whenever camera is ready, that's how much time I get, you know? And so going back to your question, I think the ability to communicate, be concise with my communication, and making decisions, you know, creative decisions. I was able to do that with kids, but now I have the confidence to do that with professionals as well. So.
And you're still in it right now?
I'm still in it, discovering where I can go from there. Just because there are challenges to being in that industry that wasn't that I was able to foresee ahead of time.
Which were?
Being a Filipino, being a minority, there are not a lot of us out there. In a crew of 160, 200, it's probably 4 or 5
People of color.
People of color, and the rest are Caucasian. And don't get me wrong, everyone's respectful and everyone is nice, but in terms of really maximizing your potential, you know, it's really hard to see that route unless I just grind for another 10, 15 years. And I'm also very young looking, and so they really don't see giving you the keys until you know have that, I guess, that body of experience and just being in it every day, day in, day out. And throughout that time, especially during COVID, it really just opened my eyes in terms of I am more than just what I do for work.
Yeah.
Right? And I was, before COVID, I was fully in it, just working nonstop, 70, 80-hour work weeks. And then all of a sudden, boom, March 14th, 2020, everything stopped. And the momentum fell. And I had to really think about, who am I? What am I without this? And, you know, all that time really allowed me to be more present with myself and with other people, you know, and just make it more about connection with others, connection with the moment, you know, not always wanting to jump to the next thing, but it's like, you know, the universe has you here, and even though you don't see what's going on, like, just sit in it, and you'll learn something from the situation. Yeah.
One thing I want to say is, oh, darn, being Filipino and looking so young till we're 60.
I got ID'd at a bar a couple weeks ago.
Oh my gosh, no way. And what did they say when they saw the year that you were born?
Well, I already reacted because none of my friends got ID'd. It was just me. So I was already down. Yeah. So they were like, oh, they're like, okay. I was so...
Yeah. You're like, come on, take me seriously.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's what it is. You know what I mean? I think as predominantly for women, it's like, it's a great compliment, but for a man, especially in kind of a foreign space like film, you want to be taken seriously. So looking young is synonymous with you have a lot of life to go, and I have a lot of aspirations, and it's not a matter of skill, but a matter of connections. And my connections are I don't hang out with that film crew day in and day out. You know what I mean? I have other priorities, still staying in tune with the community, staying in tune with family and friends and all that stuff. So the time is always a restraint, you know?
What would you say is like important to you now, like at this stage of your life? Especially, I mean, like COVID was such a time for so many of us to slow down. Like, I don't know what it was in the world, but in 2019, we were all on a serious ramp up. Like it was like not just caffeine, whether you were actually caffeinated or not, but it was like the way social media was ramped up, the way that everyone was posting everywhere in the world they were going, and the ability to travel too. Like flight deals were crazy. You could fly to a lot of places for very cheap. So I just remember it just like, and then bam, you know, and then we all had to take a moment to reflect.
Yeah. And everyone took it differently, you know. People had hard times, and you know, respect to that hardship. But for me, at that time, in a way, COVID was a blessing in terms of being able to slow down and really just connect more with your environment than just what you're doing next. You know?
Oh, that was you can't hear this right now, but the rain in Vancouver just...
Yes, Vancouver. But also even hanging out with you, you know, like we would always connect every 3 or 4 years, and at different stages of our life. And I can vividly remember just being like, really, to start when we get there, I'd be tense, and I have a lot of things on the go, but conversing with you really just is very calming, and by the end of it, you know, it reminds me just to be, you know, grateful and just slow things down. Like 5% slower is my mantra, whatever that means.
Oh, I like that. Whatever you're doing, even if it's already slow, just even go 5% more.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you would like look back on your younger self, and that you would, you know, based on what you know now, that you would say to that version of yourself?
Oh, yes. Like, slow down and appreciate what you have. When we talked about all of the things that were going on with OTI and the scene and film and the dance videos, I was taking on so much that it was only after the fact, 10, 15 years later, where I was like, wow, I did all of that. And while everyone was giving me my flowers, I was like, thank you, but
Already thinking about the next.
already thinking about the next, you know what I mean? And so I know it's not ideal to think about, shoulda, woulda, couldas, regrets. But for me, I really want to put forward in trying to be more present with everything, whether it's work or just the nothingness, just walking around, listening to the rain, all that stuff.
Yeah, I would definitely tell my younger self to chill. Like, come on, Or just like, I think about how ambitious I was. Like, I
Yes.
think the way that I'm ambitious.
You were very ambitious.
Right? I mean, that was us. Like, we would talk about our dreams and just like hype each other up and get so like riled up on, especially my era of Toronto. Like, I was so ambitious.
Yeah.
But it was like, I would say I'm still ambitious, but it's different now, Like, I think based on exactly what we've been talking about, which is like, what really actually matters in life. And there's so much juiciness and like the feeling of being alive when you're just really just present in one single moment, because you actually don't know if that's all you'll have left,
Right.
So, yeah.
It's also about, that cliche of it's not about the end destination, it's about the journey. And that's what the presence part, really speaks to. You're doing amazing things, but also, give yourself credit and give yourself a break and enjoy it and think about all these things that are happening as it's happening.
Yeah. And also surrendering to like however way, like before I used to have a very, very specific goal, and that's what I was ambitious about, the vision that I saw very clearly. And now I've evolved to like setting intentions, like what is the intention, and then letting however way that intention manifests happen. And it's like, oh, okay, so that's what my journey looks like.
Right. Yeah.
Which is nice, because man, like to try to hang so tightly onto a very specific vision can be actually like the cause of so much suffering.
Yeah. But there's also these side quests that make you stronger on the go, and like having conversations with people, having conversations with strangers, that will still, it may take time out of your schedule, but it'll definitely make you feel more like you're connecting with the environment,
So we're about coming to maybe 5 minutes left of the stream, and I definitely wanted to get it on record with you, since we are building this archive, like for the current and next generation to know about your personal contribution. May it be through a moment or a specific project or a milestone for you that you achieve. Like, what would you want the current and future generation of the dance community to know?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. 3 things.
3 things?
Yeah, 3 things. Could be a moment, a milestone, a project to be locked into our, what do you call those? Capsule.
Oh,
our time capsule.
Being someone who was able to produce, direct, and edit 33 dance films in a 4-year span, and 2 theater shows, and teaching at 3 studios, and getting your degree all in those 4 years. Somebody who's very, very ambitious and very organized. Somebody who even though I'm known as somebody with a vision, that vision wasn't about me. It was having people come together and create that vision together. So even though I was kind of leading the charge, I didn't really associate it as my work. A good saying that I like to go by is stand behind your work, not in front of it.
What does that mean to you?
It means do such a good job that the work takes the spotlight and not who's creating it. If it's so good, then people will dig deeper.
Cool. Okay, wait. So I got confused by the 3 things.
No, we had 2. It was the
Those
directing.
2, you packaged it.
Yeah. and then doing all that stuff. And the third thing, I would say somebody who really put storytelling and themes and concepts into the minds of like the younger generation. Like I know when I first started taking class, Jarek's first class was a Star Wars theme. Everyone was C-3PO. That was my first experience.
Oh my god!
And that's kind of the seed that now I'm doing these themes and groups like Brotherhood and 247. They were doing themes like that. And not to say that I had a hand in what they're doing is amazing, but that idea of thematic dance storytelling.
Locked. Hey. So I think we're time, yeah? Oh, this was such a good hour,
Yeah.
Mark. Thank you for your time.
And thank you for allowing me to share my story, because it's not something that I get to share a lot. So
yeah.
I appreciate that.
It was really cool that we had a coffee and reconnected not too long ago. And then I was just like, we need Mark on the show. I need him on season 3. I need to capture this story because, the generations of dance is just growing and evolving, and the young ones don't know about us anymore,
Right.
especially if you've moved to other places and are doing new things.
And they're doing their own journey too. They're exactly what we were when we were super ambitious. Like
Yes.
they will reflect back and think about their teachers, but you just gotta respect that process. And so this is a really great outlet for anyone that's wanting to look back at Vancouver history and dance to say in a moment of time that.
And for us to know our history, period. Like that's
Yes.
important.
Yeah.
Anyways, shout outs to everybody who tuned into the live stream.
Thank you.
Who are watching the recording and the playback. We appreciate you. And for hanging out and eating with us. Now you know what a Filipino breakfast is, and there's a vegan version if you need it. Once again, my name is Kazi. This is Marc Generoso. We have been broadcasting live on the unceded ancestral lands of the Musqueam, the Tsleil-Waututh, the Squamish First Nations, what is colonially known as Vancouver, BC, and what we call Vancity. This has been Vancity Beats, Eats, and more.